back to the industry, episode 8. Ethan, were you here last week? No, fuck you, man.
I don't know where I am these days, man.
Oh, yeah, was here last week? Oh, shit.
Was it last week? Apollo.
Yes, yeah, last week. Yeah. Welcome back to the industry. We've got we have 4. It's world record.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Oh, yeah, we're 4. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, it's not a world record. Yeah, whatever. How was your week? Hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys have watched the other episodes. This is episode 8. We're pushing. We're going. I don't think we're going to stop. I didn't say it because Tenny's not here, and yeah, she's going to kill me. But anyway, we've got Dipo and Ebonie in the house. He's here.
What up?
Thank you.
Yeah. But we'll get into what they do as we go along. But we have gist. First of all, I didn't even know where that trailer is because I would have said we would have played it and watched it and would have commented. But I'll just put the link in when I find it, But go and find it because I'm not gonna play it now. I'm not. Anyway, Ratnik. Ebonie didn't watch it, but Dipo watched it and then you saw it. First of all, what are your thoughts? Ebonie is one trailer like this. It's like RoboCop. That's all I can say. But it's a Nigerian movie. It's called Ratnik. You should check it. Maybe offline.
Dipo should go first, man.
Yeah.
It was confusing because, like I said when I saw it, it was like a mashup of too many things going on at the same time. There was Tomb Raiders, there was Iron Man, there was, just a feel of. I mean, I even felt I was watching American Ninja. Remember American Ninja from back in the day? All in there. So it was a bit confusing. Too much going on, I think. However, it's a good effort. So yeah. I think you're just trying to...
What are your thoughts?
Here are my thoughts. First of all, what was that? First of all, it reminds me of someone. What's the short comedian? First of all, yeah, Kevin Hart. First of all, it's Kevin Hart. Yeah. First of all, no, but for real, okay. On the positive side, I think there's, a bunch of. It's something, to be honest. I think it's something if me and Jay didn't go back in the day, that's what it would have been. Because a lot of creativity, a lot of guys know, we can do this. I've seen this effect in this movie. I think I can do it just after effects. There's a guy like Ted, shout out to Ted, sitting in the background, just animating things, sweating his life out. But I think what they were missing was direction and story.
Yeah.
Because bottom line, it's the story. And the actors that will really push your effects will just be to complete the circle of the whole thing. Other than that, like you said, it was confusing, and not the good type of confusing, like your first time with a woman.
Yeah,
As a
I mean,
young
you
boy.
couldn't
It's really confusing, like astral chemistry, if there is such a thing. That kind of confusing. And I'm done.
I think so. For me, it's like, look. I think what they did was they made they decided to. They thought about all the VFX, then they created a story around the VFX.
Exactly.
I think the VFX. And here are a couple of things I have an issue with. First of all, the guy's logo is just like Marvel Studios. Just
So what?
No. Secondly, I think that there are too many influences of Metal Gear. I saw Star Wars, Iron Man, Jarvis. Like, I didn't think there was any original idea. And
G.I. Joe.
yeah, and I think that what always does me is like stop trying to copy these guys. You can't do better than they can. And because once we see it, we already know that this is a knockoff. As far as I'm concerned, VFX is great. I was just telling you guys offline about that video, one local video that we saw. There were 2 people fighting. So this chick, guy, threw his rapper in the air, and the rapper was coming for the babe. Like it looked like jazz for real. Do you get that? And I could appreciate that. But you see, this one, missiles going, nigga, come on. Like, this is something we would have done in 2010. Or earlier. Yeah, so I didn't think... I think it was a great effort. Yeah. But I have my... Let me not say what I said. I said something to somebody today. I said that it's going to do one kind. But I think, people like... If he was going to do this film, he should have talked to somebody like Nia Akimalaya, who had already done something. He had done Kajola. And I feel like, where did he go wrong? He knows what happened. I feel like this is like Kajola 2.0, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Big shout out to me. I said something good about you because I love you, man. You're coming on this show, yeah. Anyway, you'll see it later. Everybody will see it and he will laugh. He'll not be like, this everybody should laugh like. Okay, so the real reason why we're here. So we've got two, I would say, sound specialists in his house.
And literally sound, not like that. Sound specialist.
Yeah, like sound like not like you're intelligent. You're intelligent. I'm not. Yeah.
I apologize.
You know. So let me just quickly read Ebonie. This black boy sitting down here. Yeah, we have that story. Tell them.
I will.
Okay.
You want me to tell?
No.
After you read it.
After I read it.
I'll tell you.
So Ebonie, okay.
Summary version.
Damn it.
Where'd you put it?
Damn it. Okay, let me read. No, I opened like two Microsoft. Oh yeah, there it is.
Okay.
This thing is small though. So please help me. I don't know how to pronounce your band names very well. I'm very bad at it. Oshishonya. Yeah. Olusegun. Sound engineer, sound designer, and an audio producer. Studied business administration, after which he proceeded to studying sound engineering and audio production at SAE Dubai. Humble, straight, and dedicated guy. You can't be humble if you put a humble, straight, and dedicated guy in your bio. Like, what the hell? So he had the privilege to work as assistant studio engineer with two musicians like Two-Face, Cobams, what's his K1? No, wait, that Kwamon.
Yeah.
The ultimate. Yeah, and many more. Also handles top producers, the head sound guy for Nigerian Idols, Nigeria's Got Talent, Aerial Touching Lives, and the 2014 Brazil World Cup broadcast for BON in Nigeria. After I say you're humble. What was humble inside this thing? Rubbish. He then moved to movie sound production as location sound mixer and recordings for several cinema and movie productions, including Ajoche. How many Ajoche people have I put on? Yo!
I'm sure people were waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm an Ajoche guy. Yeah, anyway, so Dipo, I had a deposit. You do music, right?
I used to.
Yeah. So that's like your rap name or something.
Yeah, something like that.
What I deposit?
Kind of
Deposit something.
back money.
All right. Oladipo is Dipo basically is an audio post production expert, a sound consultant, and an audio file, right? With about 10 years of professional audio experience. He's also known for his works as final mixer and sound editor on African Magic's Tinsel, Ajoche, and JMG. I put Ajoche in the middle so it's not be like. He has under his belt 800 hours of TV runtime. That's a lot, man. He has accomplished final mixes across over 6 drama series. He has also worked on a couple of award-winning international acclaimed films, as well as a number of various kinds of content for TV. Oladipo is a versatile sound engineer whose skill cuts across the parts of audio production, as he has both worked as a studio recording engineer, mixing and mastering songs for various top Nigerian artists like Olamide, Odunsi, The Engine, to name a few, and also mixed for live shows both locally and international. So basically, we have two guys who were studio engineers. They do their sound guys. But for the purpose of this podcast, one guy, which is Ebonie, does on-set recording, and Dipo does final mixing, and that's where some of our questions are going to be, geared towards. But yeah, Ebonie's story.
Why don't I tell you the story first? Yeah, so Ebonie, my man. So I met Dipo. Dipo doesn't know I met him, but I met him. But Ebonie,
Really?
so yeah. So on this particular show, right?
Which one? Sorry. Call it.
I just said.
Thank you.
On this particular show, right? I was looking for people who are working, and they kept mentioning, oh, don't worry, Ebonie will do it. Ebonie will do it 2 days in a row. I never saw you. So when the first time I said Ebonie, oh, this is Ebonie's equipment. I saw this big equipment. In my mind, I just thought this big bronze chiseled chest guy, scar on one eye, walking with a big sword like Ebonie. I was like, yeah, Ebonie's good. Ebonie. Third day, I was like, Ebonie's here. Where's Ebonie? And this really small, light-skinned guy. I wasn't disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I was not. Because I like to buck the stereotype. I was like, that's Ebonie. I like Ebonie. Ebonie's all right. Him and Trevor Noah have something in common. Trevor's albino. No, sorry. Moving on. Yeah, he is.
I didn't know that. Okay. Ebonie.
Boss.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
That was it. Yes. So, number one question: what is set sound recording, and how much of the creative process do you get involved in? But before you answer that major question, okay, you know what? Answer that major question because there are a couple of things that I want to talk about. Like some of the things that you do on set. We'll delve into that as you go along, which is sound recording, and a couple of things that people miss when they're recording. But bottom line, again, what is set recording, and how much of the creative process do you get involved in?
Basically, set recording when it comes to movie production, that's the location set. It's more of how we pick up sound from source, which involves, the gears we bring into it, how we, the technical know-how that goes into it. It's not about just, I have an expensive mic. Praise the Lord. It's not about that. It's about the technicality, of how you use it, And basically, it's all about picking up sound, the best clean sound you can for the final mix guy to work with. Because you're there to just make his job, easier. Quite easy, yeah.
Alright. Why? Why are you making what? Who do you think you are? So what are the things that normally people miss? Because I'll give you an example. So there are some times when, and explain to us how that works, especially with equipment. I don't know a lot about sound equipment. I just only hear it from you when you say, oh, you want this particular mic, or you need this, or you need that. Perfect example. There are times when, like when we're shooting at Joche, again, where we were filming wasn't so far off to the main road. It would have been weird if you were watching the show and you hear half the time there was this guy, Baba, what's his name?
Baba Gani.
Baba Gani. Is that his real name? Okay,
Yeah,
Baba
yeah.
Gani. Anyway, at times when they were actually doing construction work and then you have tractors, so we actually couldn't record sound until you came. I said Ebonie used to do shakara, so he knew how to cancel the sound, but he's like, no, I'm not recording. Next thing you ask him, I'll be like, before I know it, sound is gone. So how, what is that process? Because a lot of people don't know. Sometimes you record stuff, you're hearing all sorts of things.
Basically.
What is because you said, it's not about expensive equipment, but what is the technique behind making sure that you're capturing great sound for the final mix guy?
Yeah, so, so that I clear that line, basically it's not all about the how expensive your gear is, sincerely. Having said that, doesn't mean you don't have to go for the top, quality gears when you're filming, but some things that comes in actually now has to do with your knowledge and experience from sound. This is what I mean. For example, like the one you mentioned, I have a mic that I know the sensitivity. When you have your gear, you should know the sensitivity of your mic. What is the pickup pattern? Fine, it might be beautiful, but maybe not what you need for that scene or for that show. So because I know the pickup pattern of that mic, I know the degree, the angle at which it can pick. So I can actually say, okay, you know what, sir, please, can we face this way? And again, on the mixer, there are some basic things that you can actually do from your mixer. For example, you can do things like the low chord, which is also the high pass. And
I don't even know what that is.
okay, so that means
On my deck, I figured it out.
okay. So an audio from this little knowledge, an audio frequency actually goes from 20 hertz to 20K. Wait, the 20 hertz are the low ones, like the rumbling ones, like when you hear from kick drums to bass guitar around 500 thereabout. And as it goes up, the frequency goes higher and brighter. So you're talking about from the 10K, the high mids, the 20K, the sibilance, which is when you pronounce things like the TS, those that comes with it. So I actually know that for a human voice, for example, we don't need anything below 100 hertz. Because even the 20, you can't really hear it. You can feel the presence of 50 from the song, just come boom, boom, boom. And, for regular human voice, you don't have that. So why do I need that in my, frequency in what I'm recording? So what I do is, this is a generator set. What's the frequency like? This frequency of this generator is about, let's say, 80 to 100. So all I need to do is roll off from my 20 hertz, and I roll off to like 110. So that means that from 20 hertz to like 110 it's not coming into the recorder. So though you can hear it, but when I'm recording, it's not, the mic resists that frequency. So when I record and I play back for you, you would not hear much of that generator noise or those rumbling that you think you have. And by the time that little one that you have gets to post, you can now smile and say, okay.
This guy did some work. That did some work.
So that basically.
I have another question for you, but I'll come back. I want to hear the magician talk first. So, well, you're the magician, the sound mixer. You could have been DJ Khaled.
Yeah, pretty much.
Could be making money. So
Another one. Duh.
We're the best.
But you decided to flip, and you were telling me a really interesting story. So why the flip? Why come back to TV and movies?
Yeah, so basically, I started off with music. I mean, I got into the whole thing. I started off in a band. We had this group and things like that. Then I also wondered, like, how is it done? Pretty much. So I got into production, learning all that stuff. So I got into sound engineering. But I mean, years down the line, I always have dudes come to the studio. They want to record. And trust me, they want to get high before they record. I could swear to you that my studio that I was working in at the time was like the cleanest studio you could find, because I always tell you want to smoke, go out. Because So, but at some point, I just sat down one day. I'm like, I can't do this forever, So I'm just like, okay, I want a space where, first of all, like in the industry where I have some level of independency, the clients I'm working with are not usually in my face, so to speak. So which is why I switched to TV sound. Also, I just wanted somewhere where I could have more impact, because at the time I just felt, like the music industry was getting cluttered. Back in the day, you actually needed a producer. You get to make your music. But then came along Fruity Loops and things like that, and everybody was making, right? So, so at that point, it was looking like the relevance of the studio, music studio was just declining, So I just wanted to move into a space where I was more relevant, and TV sound was basically like virgin at the point in time, so. Basically, I just jumped in. And that was the switch.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, since we're switching and you didn't want to be DJ Deposit. yeah. So, what is the... what's your work process doing live TV, like mixing basically for live TV? Even though... Wait. Because I don't want to ask that question and ask him something before then.
So, don't worry, I think I have the question that melds them together. So
Okay, yeah. So, but basically, what's your process from like live TV mixing? Like, what do you expect from the guys from Ebonie or whoever is doing mixing? Exactly. What do you expect, and then how do you process it? And because again, a lot of people don't get why final mixing is very important. I've watched films in the cinema, no final mixing. Right? So we are in different levels. They will do it from their Adobe Premiere. They don't mix everything as well. So tell us.
Just so that we can clarify things, I'd like to just final mix. When you say final mix, is just an aspect. Okay. The term final mix is an aspect of the audio post-production process. Okay. Right? So it basically starts with if we're talking drama, for example, you start with dialogue editing, where somebody goes through, all the recording, all the takes, all the multi-tracks, and just find the best takes, for the dialogue, clean out all the noise and everything. Just make sure the dialogue is, good. Then there's the other aspect, which is sound effect editing, which is where somebody goes in and add all the necessary sound effects. Not to be confused with Foley, but on the soundtrack, we call it the soundtrack, where you have the three major elements: dialogue, music, and effects. Okay. Right? So under the effects, category, then we can talk of Foley, which is the human noise, props handling, cloth movement, footsteps, and everything. And that is also done. Then you have the music editing, not music composition, music editing, which is where somebody actually sits and like, okay, maybe the music after composition is not quite working with a particular scene, and you need to like cut and edit stuff, Then you now get to the process where you mix all of that down, and that process is called final mix. However, people just throw the word, final mix.
People like James. That's call a spade. So why are you trying to diminish this guy? This guy's doing track, doing effects, doing voice. It's not one thing.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right. So oftentimes, some people come to me and be like, I want to do final mix. I'm like, okay, hold up.
Like now?
Yeah, I get those too. And recently a guy called me. I think it was a movie you reviewed one time here. Yeah. So the guy called me. I'm like,
No.
I'm like, yo, I want you to do, the final mix for this movie. I'm like, okay. I'm like, how long? He said, you only have a couple of days. And I'm like, couple of days. Interested, So basically, that's the whole process. So it starts from like dialogue editing. My process, getting back to your question, my process is usually, I like to be involved from the production recording stage with someone like Ebonie, and I like to know what's going on set, what the issues, what to expect, because trust me, I've basically seen it all, like worst recording that you can ever imagine. You get so being prepared, knowing what's coming to you, kind of like prepares your mind, for the work ahead. So I start from there, working with the production sound recording guy, then bring that into the studio and try to create something that tells the story pretty much. Yeah. So
let me even tell how I met Dipo. So apparently I did this.
Like Ebonie's story.
No. I did this TV show that the guy who I don't speak to anymore. It's not like I'm keeping my list together, but whatever. So I don't talk to him anymore. Like the guy says like, boss, how far? Any work for me? I'm like, Anyway,
How do you spell that?
The guy recorded. I don't even know what he recorded. That's the thing. So I'm sitting down there thinking, this guy's recording great sound for me. So we're in the studio. And next thing, I'm hearing all sorts of buzzing sounds, like it was hollow. It was horrible. And every time the thing kept going through QC, they would send it back to me. Like I've never in my life, like I was on holiday when I got called. I was like, hey, QC is rejecting this thing. Damn! I was like, so I had to come back, and I met Banjo. And then I said, look, I need somebody to fix this thing for me. I need you to do this. I need someone else to do this. And I was like, there's a guy, his name is Dipo. I was like, yeah, whatever. So anyway, I don't know if I'd met you. I talked to you on the phone. And then Dipo was like, yeah, I'll do it. Dipo likes money. God damn it. Dipo should have been Ibo. But anyway, Dipo. But
I'm sure you get to that.
No. I mean, he has his reasons. But which is gear, which we'll talk about.
Essentially his price.
The complete. The complete. But anyway, Dipo did me a favor anyway. I won't even lie, because I didn't pay him the money that he was. Yeah. But moving on, he fixed it, and that's how the show made it to TV. Even though it's still, you can still hear some of, but he salvaged the situation, bottom line, basically. That's how I met him. And ever since then, I don't think I've ever used any other, I've not used any other person to do it. So you're stuck with me for life! Okay.
That's the question. So, we talked about the direction between yourself and on-set recording. So, Ebonie, what is the direction between, you also be a tripartite agreement in the sense that, do you get involved? So I know what you need from him. You already know that. But what do you get involved with when they're picking the locations and then they're showing you this is the scene and you're like, this can't work? Do they just say, shut up, just come and record? And then you have to do low bars under high 20K filter, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so before any production kicks off, there's supposed to be a rec, where the sound guy, the light, and we'll go to particular location to check to see if it will work and what challenge we'll likely face. So sometimes I actually go like, this place can't really work for us, and But we have to just.
Like bunch of
so because I just have to look at everything, but sometimes I'll be straight. Sometimes when you look also from the production angle, that okay, we've tried, this is the best we can get and all that, I now bring in another idea to say, okay, what can we do? I like to be solution to stuff like that. Not saying that if I have to reject, I reject. But no. Yeah. But sometimes I like to be solutions. For example, where you mentioned on that set.
The tractor.
Well, it was part of the effort that I got to know the man's name. Oh, wow. Yeah. So got to go to him, sir, please, when do you guys go for a break and things like that?
I'm doing this thing for 5 hours.
I'm going like, so
strict. And why are you the guy talking to me? I don't like talking to white people. Do you get that a lot?
So sometimes, we go to set, we go to locations and we say we can't use here. And even when we, even before commencement of any, production, I like say, okay, so he's the finance guy. And most of the time I work with Dipo. So I like, guy, see what we have on this set. See what we have on this set. And sometimes you even go to the extent of, doing test recordings. And I say, okay, see what I'll do from my hand. But, from here, see what to do with. Yeah. And so he goes like, okay, give it to me. Let me see. And he gets back to me, okay, we can work with this.
Tell us about the current, the mattress thing. I actually like that idea. No, that was very, very cool ideas. Tell us about that.
Okay. Just like I said, Dipo and I actually studied at the same place.
Whatever.
That's true. That's true.
And Dubai?
No. There was this sound institute, basically. In Lagos at some point. He went through that process. I went through the process, but I don't think we ever crossed paths. Then Banjo said, "You should know this guy. He used to be like, okay, But I mean, we
started. Knows everybody.
So I think that was like the best learning ground at the time.
Wait, pause. So. How is it? So you both went through it, and there's a mattress involved. So I'm
sorry. Okay.
Lord.
No, we didn't share.
The same place. But this mattress thing is something else.
Okay, you're not like you're both in the mattress.
No.
I just want to know. I'm sorry. Okay. Carry on.
So
I apologize.
So after many days of going forth and back on location, we actually got this big house, massive house, and that worked for every other department except sound. because
and then he was like, I was like, oh yeah, so we have the house, and he was like, I can't work. I'm like,
so I remember talking to the line producer, like we were like, don't tell me that again. And so I'm like, okay, so what's the problem? The problem was actually echo, and they say it's echo, but we say it's reflection, where you have sound, the sound actually moves fast, 340 in just 1 second. So imagine it bouncing up and down, like this, at the same angle. So because of that and the acoustics of that room, we had to find a way to stop the sound from bouncing back. And so this is a location. There was no way we could actually pad everywhere. So what we did was to get some mattresses, and when we're on set and we look at the scene, we calculate, okay, so these guys are speaking this way, so reflection is actually going to come from that. Oh, guys, let's place the mattresses, and with that we're able to reduce the reflection to about 60%. Okay, so leaving the other 40
For him to so does he have like, say, imagine an inspector, right, from the studio coming in on one of those mattress days. So you guys are doing great.
Are people sleeping?
Why? And then mattress on the wall, and then they're like, Ebonie! Let me explain.
Okay, so sorry, let me get back to my
Not bad,
question.
not bad.
That's actually cool. Okay, anyway, so Dipo, straight up, what materials are currently what have you seen so far locally that you did not do, that you've looked at, that you've looked at it and you've said, no, these guys tried. This was like really good sound mixing.
I don't see a lot of Nigerian movies. Yeah, I honestly don't. So, but I can tell. I mean, I'm not the only one in this industry, and you know, I have colleagues who are good at this. You know, so there's been a number of guys that you know, like that has won awards for sound editing, and I actually saw that and it was good. That would be, say, Tattoo, for example. I worked on Isoke as a dialogue editor, but the whole final mixing was done by a guy called Ayo, right? That was good. I think he got nominated, right? So yeah, so there's been.
I don't die now.
Not Dio, Ayo. That's Ayo David. There's I think I know Dio. There's a Dio. Yeah. I don't think I've met him. I'm not sure, but I've heard his name. You know, so there are guys like that in the industry. You get who also do this thing, and you know everybody's try to make a difference. So, but then you still come across a lot of materials that you know they have no clue about what's going on with the sound. It's just So I think it's a mentality that and people have been watching our films before. No sound mix, no final mix. They were always watching now.
I always say that. I think it's all fun and games until some international company like HBO or Netflix comes and takes your content and says, "Oh, let's put it on our this thing," and then they will not be sending you QC error.
Right. Yeah.
QC error. Because a lot of people do. Again, a lot of people, and it has happened to me before. My first few films that I did for Ebonie Live TV, ain't no final mix. I just mix it. I mean, volume was my own, But as you grow, things now become different.
Interesting. So those guys you're talking about, they don't know the mattress trick. So we're gonna put a link in the description below for the mattress trick. Copyright Ebonie.
I don't know. Send me an email.
Send it to Ebonie. Anyway, we'll give you the contact anyway.
I'm looking for it.
It's not there. All right, so Ebonie, this is almost like the flip side of the question we just asked Dipo. So I'm sure there's stuff you've watched and you're like, it couldn't have been the set recorder's fault, and this industry, probably an industry problem. So what do you think is missing in the industry, whether from a technical side or a process side or a skill side?
Okay, so maybe I would copy Dipo a little.
No. sorry, go ahead.
So I've had opportunity to watch some Nigeria movies, and I've gladly done that, but with my remote in my hand. Because you just have to go like
next stop.
And then, so I don't enjoy really watching. I said there has to be maybe those top ones, like the one like the October one, top. Okay. If not, I don't even really have time for TV actually. Oh, wow. So when I have those little time to watch, trust me, I would rather watch Barcelona. A Barcelona match than watch because there are some things that they forget, and even some on locations or even while they're trying to process the sound, they forget that even in an island it's not silent, there's this ambience around.
White noise-ish.
Yeah. So for example, they all carried away with what they see, from the white guys. Meanwhile, from my own training, even these Foley sounds, we do it real, Yeah, where you have somebody, you just lay the bed there, and they'll tell the female that's about the same size, and just look at the screen and fall at the same time. You see the the person in the picture falling, just to get some Foley sounds to make it.
Okay.
They do 80% ADR. we don't have that luxury here. So what would you tell me that somebody's in
Are you sure we don't have the luxury to do 80%? Like, I feel like we did ADR on why did we do ADR on that? Was it because of the sound issue? Yeah, bad sound, right? But I don't think it's luxury. I just think it's the fact that
it's the process
want to do it.
Yeah, it's what we're
that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have the capital, all that needs to go around. ADR is not cheap. You know, so we don't have that. Like, imagine now you watch a film like 300 and you see guys, the Warriors, and you feel, how many microphones is on this set? And you go like, and only for you to, you know, you go online and you see that these guys actually did this in the
All you need is one mic.
It's not one mic. It's like you understand?
I knew you were going there.
And you know, because some people want to be too perfect. Like, for me, there's some basic things. I'm not really, where I use lapels sometimes on set, just as backups. From my little, you know, experience, to his glory, you know, I don't really believe, you know, in sounds that comes from lapel because they don't sound original. Okay, so if somebody's coming from afar, let me instead of giving, you know, a great work to the final mix guy who now has to use, you know, automation to start correcting all those things. Let's be real. If somebody's talking from far, let's feel it. And as you can see, let's feel it. Let's hear that this guy is talking from far. How can you put a lapel and at the end of the day, you know, the person's talking from 5 meters away, it's the same level with. And even when you drop the volume, it's not about the dB now. When you drop the volume, what about the texture of this? You know, so I like going, you know, go straight. But most of our guys here, you know, with respect to them, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying things like, you know, just make it simple. Even the white guys, after all their jobs, they don't really do everything, you know, that everything doesn't really go through the computer. At the end of the day, it has to go through an analog machine that needs to warm everything and, you know, get it ready for broadcast. Yes, and sound natural. Not, you know, not that you just put lapel on our body. Let's go.
So, but I have a question for you guys. This is an extra question. How big are you guys on? There's a word that's in my head. But how big are you guys on passing on information? Because passing on, like, so teaching other people. There's a word. No, it's not even knowledge sharing. But that's what it's knowledge sharing. But there's a word I was looking for. How big are you guys on it? Because here's the thing. I mean, I have a lot of people that come on the podcast. The reason, I mean, you're coming because you're good at what you do, and you are trying to teach people. That's the reason for this podcast in the first place. But how good are you guys at passing knowledge down to the next person? Because here's the thing. I've worked with some of you guys on like how many projects now? God forbid. None. You
go to Marvel.
No. Yeah, that's. I didn't also go for me. That's it. God willing that, you know, Kevin Feige comes and picks you guys up, you know, yeah, that's it. Then what happens? Like, my point is, because I feel like if this knowledge is not passed down to the next person, you would become extinct. So the knowledge that you have, which is the biggest problem that I have with old knowledge, I hate to say it, but in quotes, old Nollywood versus new Nollywood. I feel like everybody is like, oh, old Nollywood, they didn't do films well, but they had a particular way that they had seen the industry and they failed and succeeded at some point. But they didn't pass the knowledge to the new guys who are starting the process all over again from a different perspective. At that, then there's no way the industry grows. So how big are you guys on, you know, teaching others, basically?
Well, for me, you know,
capacity building.
Got
it.
Finally,
well done.
So for me, first is to identify the talent. Now, this is what I mean. You know, I need to see that this person actually wants to know this. The interest is there first. Then, in my only two way, what I do is get them trained. I've had the privilege to train for movie schools here in Lagos, even for Lagos State, for the youth empowerment. So, in my only two way, I make sure I do that. But most of the time, when I'm also on locations, I try to, when I have the serious intent, I try to bring in like 2 or thereabout. And basically, those that work with me, you understand, I try to give them the opportunity to make mistakes. and not mistakes, of course, that would cause production, because most of the time I have to be there to say, you know what, yeah, not serious mistakes. Now, when I say mistakes, like maybe you're supposed to boom a particular guy like this, and camera says we can see you, and still you want to get the same, texture, quality audio without standing in that same place. I can actually look and say, okay, you know what? Can you come? If you come from that point, boom this way, we'll still get that. Not you understand what I mean? So by the time they feel like, oh, I don't necessarily need to actually stay in front of that guy and put the mic in his mouth before I get good sound. I can actually do it like this. From there, I think in my own little way, that's how I do it.
So you teach them to fail, basically.
Yeah.
You teach them to fail and learn as they just.
That's the only way. That's the only way they can learn. If they don't make those little mistakes, then they can't learn. And I'm proud to say that some guys have actually.
DJ. Okay. Yeah. Basically, like you said, you need to find somebody who is interested in this, and knowing that it's not a shortcut. I didn't get here like overnight or over a period of a year. You get, so it's been gathering different kind of experiences over time that ended up the way it is, which is but capacity building. The greatest challenge I have in doing that is time. For the longest time, I don't know, I've been like working like every single day. Like I hardly get breaks. You guys. So once there's break, so when there's a break on this particular show, this other particular show is not on break. So it's pretty much like that. I'm just all over the place. So yeah, it's finding time to get somebody to like sit in with me and learn the process. I'm open to training. I've been approached by people like, okay, we want to start doing this web series on training people, blah blah blah. Want to be a lecturer? I'm like, sure, I'm down with it. So I'm open to the idea. The greatest issue is probably finding people who are really interested in that that line. And at this stage, information is everywhere. You don't have to. You have to. The person learning has to have done some research, right? You've learned something and you don't quite understand it, and you be like, okay, how do I do this? Then you can come, to the master and be like, master, how do I do this? Then, it makes, you see the interest in that person. The person is also learning on their own, and they're gaining from, other people's experiences, which I believe is the best way to learn. Not, just sitting there and waiting for the information to be pushed down your throat or something. So so that's my view on capacity building.
I man is hey, we have a question. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, come on. 3.
Wow.
Question over there. Come over here. Block the camera.
Yes. Okay, so this is the back. Hi guys.
This is Jay, by the way.
Yeah. First question. You're sound guys. I know him. I did not know you. I'm getting to know you now, and I'm also getting to know everything about production now. If not, I'm just basically a camera guy who likes to make content. You do sound. You do final mix. I've been obsessed with films. I watch a lot of foreign films. I'm just beginning to watch Nigerian movies now. There's one big omission I see there, apart from everything else you guys have talked about. Being able to manipulate my emotions with music or audio. We lack that terribly. I watch a foreign movie and then the way they can make me literally cry just by adding music and adding little elements to it, but we lack that. Every time I watch a scene and I'm like, it's better if it was silent. So do you do that? Is that part of your list of features?
You're looking at me.
This is already 44 minutes, so we can only do like 2 questions.
Okay, I'll summarize. TV and film, the way we approach it, particularly the kind of TV that I've been doing, which is like 260 episodes in a year for a particular title, right? The way you approach that is a bit different from how you approach a movie, right? A movie, you can like comb through everything frame by frame, but with TV, it's like you're painting with broad strokes, basically, right? So in terms of music on TV, for example, basically what we work with is, predefined music cues, that has been handed over. You just have to make it work, basically, for that scene. However, on a movie production, for example, you should have, that music composer who can compose stuff, right? That will, score it and, translate that emotion you get. So what I see that is lacking is a lot of directors themselves don't even understand the music, right? They just like score music, right? They don't understand. Every movie has a theme. There's a theme to it. There's so a kind of score that will work in, say, Rachnik, for example, will not necessarily work with, one of those, epic stuff we did, not old Nollywood did back in the day. You get, so there's a theme. So you need a composer that can compose to match the theme, the emotion of that particular production to start with, which is where sometimes a music editor or music supervisor comes into play. Those things we don't have. You hardly watch a Nigerian movie and find end credit music supervisor, sound supervisor. You don't see that. You get, so those gaps are missing, right? So which may account for one of the reasons why
Okay, then now second question. What if I'm also an editor? What if I'm I'm able to find out the music, or I give myself the music composer, even though I don't have all the experience, but I find out I get what I'm able to, what I want for a film or short or whatever it is. And like I said, I'm just learning about final mixing now. Normally, like he used to do, I'll just throw everything out there, I just avoid it and I'm fine. Yeah, but right now, can I, after I'm done with the edit, I add the music and everything, can I now bring the whole thing to you to final mix it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the word, final mix. So what people, low budget productions,
Yes.
they'll probably throw all their sounds in, just to save costs. Throw all their sound effects in, then eventually take it to in the UK they call them dubbing mixers. In Hollywood they call them re-recording mixers, right? So they are going to mix it down to the final output. Yeah, so you can do that. You throw all your effects in, and then somebody's going to final mix it. The reason I don't like doing that, however, is that a lot of times people throw in a lot of stuff that does not really fit. That's the best sound effect he had access to, so he threw it in. It doesn't necessarily work, but he's giving it to me to final mix. Yes, I'm going to just final mix that down, right? And at the end of the day, they put audio post-production done by the boy. Then people be like, yeah. So sometimes I'm like, can we just skip? I don't need the end credits, just pay, just pay me and we're good.
Here's your money back.
So pretty much.
Thank you.
So therefore, this is not even a question. So therefore, that means you're in the capacity to help dictate what kind of sounds can go in, even after I've given them to you. Yeah. You can help, or advise on which should go and which should not.
But yeah.
Okay.
So let me add to that. Like basically how I work with Dipo is, so I basically get these guys to do like a music library, and then I give him the music library, and then I tell him like, just do you get? Because doing TV, to be honest, nobody has the time to say. I mean, all the music library has music for different emotions, for anger, for sadness, for when something great happens. He has it to his disposal, and boom, it works. But anyway, thank you guys for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Sorry, usually my show is sponsored, but yeah, today we didn't have no sponsor because I don't pay school fees. It's a school fees month, so
once.
No, I sponsored twice. I know twice.
When was the second time?
it was no, that day you didn't go. That's the day. No, that's the day we had what's that?
Doritos, yeah.
Sing. No, there was another one after that day. I can't remember. Yeah, you know, whatever. But you know, next week, hopefully, maybe I don't know. But thank you so much, Dipo. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming through. I appreciate, guys. Yeah. The reason why we do this is they may not really have time to like they said, like teach or whatever. But this is the opportunity where you can send questions, send an email, and then we can always send them to them, and then they can always respond. You know, knowledge is power. It's great that these guys are spending their free time. I'm not paying them any money. They're the ones that drive all the way here just to talk to you guys. So please watch, share, send this to somebody who may need this. You never know, the next person who is making a film may just need this information. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button. I'll put their Instagram handles on the YouTube video like I always do. I will, if I find Ratnik, I also put a link to that. Ratnik. You can also email us if you have like a long ass question that you don't want to put. Maybe you want to talk about your grandma or some shit. Put it on. I edit my grandma's sound. Email us at the industry hosted by James Omokwe at gmail.com and follow us on the industry_jail. Until next time, next week, we'll have a guest. I want to say who the guest is because they may not show up. But they always do show up anyway. Like this guy that said 30 minutes, I will expose you. Bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, episode comes again on Wednesday. So from me, signing out. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Peace, love, and happiness, people.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
God bless.
Yeah, before Uncle, you have work tomorrow. Thank you. Peace out. Bye.
All right, let's go.